Welcome, everyone. This is Kim Beer, the Senior Director of Public Policy and Advocacy. We'll just give everyone a few minutes to log in. We apologize for a little bit of a late start. Great, we can get started. Welcome, everyone. Again, my name is Kim Beer. I'm the Senior Director of Public Policy and Advocacy here at the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. I'm a white woman, middle-aged. I'm seated at my desk in a glass office. In the back is a glass wall, and I'm in a sleeveless dress. We are so thrilled, and thank you for everyone for attending this virtual event during Gun Violence Awareness Month. We are so grateful to have so many, very many important voices with us to discuss a community we don't often hear from. Although often overlooked when discussing the impact of gun violence, the number of survivors with physical injuries, including paralysis, far surpasses the number of fatalities, with a 2020 study estimating twice as many injured survivors as deaths. In this webinar, please forward to the next slide. In this webinar, you will hear from individuals impacted by gun violence, including survivors, family members, and caregivers. We will learn about federal initiatives through the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, as well as resources available at local organizations, including the National Paralysis Resource Center, which is operated for over 20 years by the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. We will talk with some community organizations supporting gun violence survivors, and we hopefully will leave you with steps that you can take to help support those impacted by gun violence. We understand that this is a long webinar, 2 hours, so thank you in advance for your time. The Reeve Foundation is committed to expanding programming around this extraordinarily important topic. And we're so thrilled that you're with us today. We will hopefully have time for questions. We have a very tight agenda. We know that people have submitted questions in advance, and we will do our best to either address them here or respond to you after the webinar. You will receive a recording, and you will also receive our contact information, and we're happy to share contact information of any of our esteemed speakers. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we will do introductions. We'll talk with Mr. Greg Jackson from the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. We'll hear from the community. We'll talk to our local organizations, and then, of course, we'll talk with one of our federal one of our quality of life grantees, the Rochester Spinal Association. And then we'll talk. Well, thank you. We'll hear questions, and then we'll go to the call of action. I think if the next slide, please, might be the call of action. Let's go right to, we'll put this up at the end. These are 2 important action steps you can take at the close of this webinar. And again, feel free to always reach out to us, the Reeve Foundation, should you need any support or additional resources. I've just learned that our first speaker is a bit delayed, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and go to our first panel. Miss Angel Hines, who's our public policy manager here at the Reeve Foundation, and I will pass it over to her. Thanks, Angel.
Thank you, Kim. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here to talk about this so important topic to the Reeve Foundation and our community. All too often, the survivors of gun violence are not, their impact and what has happened to them is overlooked or unheard. So during my panel today, we have some wonderful people here to share with you their stories and how gun violence has impacted their life. So I'm just going to introduce them quickly. We are going to, oh, and I also want to make sure I give a visual description of myself. My apologies, I forgot to do that. Once again, I'm Angel Hines, and I'm an African-American woman, and I am brown skin complexion. My hair is pulled back in a bun, and I'm wearing an orange and white scarf, and I have some pearl colored earrings. So now I'll go ahead with our introductions. First, we'll hear from Aaron Cobb. Aaron is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran who was injured in a domestic violence incident 12 and a half years ago. And then after that, we will hear from Anna Holly. She has been a peer mentor with the Reeve Foundation since 2017, and she has a C6 incomplete spinal cord injury and is a mom of 2 girls and has been married for almost 10 years. She now works with our NPRC as information specialist and as advocate, mentor, and gun violence survivor in the community. And then we will hear from Chris Neary. Chris serves as Senior Vice President for Policy, Research, and Advocacy at SynAir, a nonprofit investor in community development financial institution. And Chris has also been an advocate for caregivers and individuals with disabilities, including survivors of gun violence. For 12 years, Chris served as one of the many caregivers for his brother, Kevin, who rendered a quadriplegia due to gun violence in 2011. Kevin passed away due to complications from his injuries in 2023, but his resilience and positive attitude continue to inspire. Then we will hear from Mario Dixon, who was injured 35 years ago at 18 years old and is a T10 due to gun violence. Mario is also currently, he holds the position of adaptive sports coordinator for the REM Foundation. And then we will hear from Namel Tapwaters Norris. Namel is a Bronx-based paraplegic hip hop artist and disability rights advocate. But first, we will start with Aaron.
Angel, I'm
Yes.
so sorry to interrupt you, but we've just learned that Mr. Jackson has arrived. So
That's
thank you for
fine.
those introductions. We will quickly
Not a problem.
we will quickly then transition to your panel. So I do want to introduce Mr. Greg Jackson, and if you're on the line, feel free to turn on your camera. Thank you so much, Mr. Gregory Jackson. We're so thrilled to have you here. Greg Jackson serves as a special assistant to the president and deputy director of the White House Office of Gun Prevention. Greg has been a gun violence prevention leader for over 10 years. A survivor of gun violence, Greg has led Community Justice Action Fund, a national survivor-led gun violence prevention organization focused exclusively on the impact to Black and Brown communities. Greg has testified before Congress and has regularly appeared in an array of media outlets, including Time, CNN, Vice News, The Problem with Jon Stewart, The Washington Post, MSNBC, and The Price of Freedom HBO documentary. Greg holds a BA from the University of Virginia. Thank you so much for being here, and we're thrilled to have you.
Awesome, thanks for having me. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. But pleasure to see you all, and just a pleasure to be here. Thank you to the Reeve Foundation for inviting us to be a part of this really important discussion. I know you shared quite a bit through my bio, but I do just want to emphasize that I come to this work as a survivor first, an activist second, and a leader in the White House third. And unfortunately, this crisis is one that too many of us know. In fact, every year, over 140,000 Americans are impacted by the crisis of gun violence. And a lot of times we overlook those who survive and the real serious damage and trauma that it creates. For me, it nearly cost me my ability to walk, but while I was able to get back on my feet, I'm still dealing with trauma 11 years later. The bullet that hit me also hit 2 arteries, and so I've had 6 surgeries and have countless surgeries ahead of me to maintain. And gun violence, unfortunately, is also the leading cause of newly disabled Americans across the country. And so the impact it has, not just on those who are passed, but those who survive, is astronomical. But I will say that, despite how painful and far-reaching this crisis is, the president has taken lead and action on this issue. This is the first president to acknowledge this as a public health crisis and really push for a public health response. First, by investing in violence prevention strategies, both community and law enforcement based. In fact, the American Rescue Plan, which was designed for COVID relief, prioritized investing in public safety, and over $15 billion of COVID relief funds went directly to public safety and gun violence prevention strategies. We also, this administration has passed more executive actions than any president in history, now over 40 executive actions to address this crisis, as well as in the summer of 2022, passing the first bill on gun violence in 29 years, the Bipartisan Safety of Communities Act. And while all of these different policies and resources, they may sound like words on a paper to some, it's also, we're starting to see some real results. And in fact, today, the FBI released their data for this year's numbers around homicide. And this year, we're on pace for a 26% reduction in homicides. Last year, we achieved a 13.5% reduction, which was the steepest decline in American history. And we're now on pace to double that. And when you look at major cities and urban centers, the numbers are even more impressive. The average is actually 43% reduction. So Philadelphia is experiencing a 42% reduction. Baltimore, 41% reduction. New Orleans, 41.5% reduction. Communities that have suffered the worst of this crisis are now turning the corner and not just making small changes, but making astronomical changes in reducing the harm of gun violence. And so we're excited about the progress. We're going to continue to do our work in three major areas: investing in strategies and people, fighting to keep illegal guns out of our communities and out of the hands of those who are most vulnerable, whether that's youth, whether that's domestic abusers, whether that's felons that are prohibited. How do we make sure guns are not getting into the hands of those who are most at risk or most vulnerable? But then lastly, our team is really focused on investing more resources to help communities and individuals heal and navigate the trauma after being impacted, just like I had to do 11 years ago. So we're excited to keep building on that momentum. This is month 9 for our office, so we're still a little baby office, but in month 9, to be able to step back and look at a 26% reduction and know that we're a part of it is something we're extremely proud of. And so we know it's not just us, it's a result of activism, it's a result of leaders, it's a result of courageous survivors across the country that have pushed the ball forward for change. But we're proud to be a part of a White House that really believes that this is a crisis we can reverse if we just invest in those who are most in need. So thank you again for having me. I think I'm standing by to rejoin a little bit later, but thank you again, and just excited to hear more from the panel.
Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Jackson. If you have to leave, we understand, but we'd love for you to stay on. Hopefully we'll have time for questions. I also would acknowledge our partner, Anna Hearn from the White House. She is the senior advisor from the Office of Public Engagement. I apologize if I did not say your name correctly, but we're so thrilled to work directly with you. We thank you for your support and for raising awareness of the Reeve Foundation and also the National Paralysis Resource Center. So thank you so much for being here also. Okay, sorry about that, Angel. So we look forward to hearing now from our community members.
Not a problem. Thank you so much to Mr. Jackson from the White House. And I'm now going to turn back to Erin Cobb. Erin, are you?
I'm here.
All right. Erin, let's start with you. Would you mind sharing with everyone a few minutes on your story and how gun violence has impacted your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2011, my ex-husband shot me twice and then killed himself in a domestic violence incident. I think I hit the trifecta of all the things. He'd stolen my gun. It was someone that I knew, and I don't know what the other list is for how people end up getting shot. But we were both Marines. We met, and he battled PTSD and a lot of other issues. So as a result of the shooting, I became T2 complete paraplegic, and it absolutely shifted and changed my world significantly and put me on a completely different path. But it did lead me to the Reeve Foundation. So and working with them, they actually helped me after I was let out of the rehab facility and I had some really poor care. So the Reeve Foundation also changed my life. And so to give back, I'm also a peer mentor and on the military veterans program. But that's kind of the quick and dirty of a not fun story.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anna. Anna is one of my colleagues here at the Reeve Foundation. Would you mind sharing yours as well? And then I'll follow up with Aaron later with some more questions.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anna. I'm a C6 incomplete injury. And when I was 14 months old, I was shot. It was the drugs involved and someone, it was attended for other adults. And the bullet went through the door and hit me. There was 5 children in the home and I was the only one that was hit. So yeah, that's just part of my story. And gun violence is my injury in itself has changed me so much and how I interact with people in my everyday life. I've been a pillar. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, so I try to be like a pillar in my community, and I go to schools and I interact with a lot of children who have been impacted by gun violence. So that's just a little bit of my story.
Thank you, Anna. Mario, I know that you're also from the Detroit area and have worked with Anna. Why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and what you do in the community?
Thank you very much. First, I'm a Black male with a blue hoodie on with red writing and a blue hat on with a red letter P on it. Yes, I was impacted or injured by gun violence due to gang violence. I was 18 years of age, young and reckless, really, and was running with the wrong crowd. The impact resulted in me being a T10, T11 paraplegic, paralyzed, no feeling or movement from the waist down. And it was devastating. It was devastating not only for me, but for my family and the community that I come from. So yeah, that's a little about me.
Thank you, Mario. Namel, are you on, Namel? Okay, we can come back to Namel and have Chris Neary.
I'm here. I was trying to figure out how to, I got to unmute and everything.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Thank you, Namel. You were unmuted. We can go to Chris to talk about, introduce himself and share his caregiver perspective.
Thanks, Angel. My name is Chris Neary. I'm a white male in my late 30s. I have short brown hair and I'm wearing glasses and a light blue button-down shirt. And as Angel mentioned, the reason I'm here today is because for 12 years I was one of several caregivers for my brother Kevin, who was a survivor of gun violence back in 2011. He was shot in an attempted robbery in Philadelphia. He was just steps outside of his apartment, and he survived that night, but the bullet went through his spinal cord and left him a complete quadriplegic at the C1, C2 level. So, he had no control below his neck, and he needed help to do pretty much everything that we all kind of take for granted, from breathing to something as simple as kind of like scratching an itch on his nose. So he required 24/7 care. And our family, especially my dad, played a big role as his caregivers. And unfortunately, as Angel mentioned, Kevin passed away last February due to complications from his injury. And, I wish more than anything it was Kevin here sharing with you his perspective on the impact of gun violence on him and our family. But I know he'd be really grateful to the Reeve Foundation for having the session today, because he cared a lot about, he would talk a lot about survivors of gun violence and their caregivers and how we can support them. So grateful to be here today.
Thank you so much, Chris. Well, I believe Namel might be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but
They saying my video has been like disconnected by the host or something.
okay, but we can hear you. So if we'll get you video, but if you would like to share now.
Okay, so I'm Namel Tap Waters Norris. I'm a hip hop artist. My description is I'm wearing an orange. I asked you to start your video. Okay, hold on. Start my video. Okay, give me 1 second. Am I there now?
Let's see.
Okay, can you see me now? Okay.
Yeah, we can see you.
Yes, we can see
Okay,
you.
cool.
Thank
All right,
you.
so yeah, I'm Namel. My self-description, I'm a Black man sitting in a wheelchair. I'm a teacher paraplegic, wearing an orange t-shirt that has WAG on it, which stands for Wheelchairs Against Guns. It's an organization I'm affiliated with. Wearing my orange full-wheel city hat. I have a background behind me. It's a poster of me and my partner Rick sitting together. We're doing a hip-hop jam on July 14th. So that's the poster for it back there, if you can see it. That's behind me. And it's just us sitting there promoting it. And some other, you can see at the top, it has some other guys in wheelchairs behind us that we know from the community, who have also, some of us, been victim of gun violence. I've been in a wheelchair for 25 years. I was shot when I was 17. My cousin was playing around with a gun that we were sharing, and he played around with it one day at my sister's party, and the gun went off and struck me in my lower neck. It left me paralyzed from like the chest down in 1999. And since then, I've been living my life as a paraplegic through hip hop and using my voice as an advocate to make a change for more accessibility, more inclusion in the music industry, and speaking to youth and others about the dangers of gun violence and trying to find better ways to solve conflicts, especially with youth. And so that's what I'm doing in the community. I've been partnering with different organizations in New York City and working with people in schools, trying to just get people to see that gun violence is not the answer, and also get support for people with spinal cord injuries who suffer their injuries due to gun violence, because sometimes we don't get the support, or we don't get to hear each other's stories, and people forget when it comes to, like, a lot of people are getting funding and things like that, and we haven't been able to, I think, bring awareness to like the needs for the community of people with spinal cord injuries. We often get forgot. So I'm happy to be here and like share my story and my experience, and hopefully get some insight to what ways people can help us and how people can also prevent these things from happening. I was with a friend the other day, and he was asking me, like, if I had a chance to like change, if I could go back and this didn't happen to me, would I change it? And I was telling him no, because I don't know how I would make it this far now without knowing what I know now. And there's a lot has to do with information and the streets that we come from. And I feel like if we can like find a way to do things to prevent these things from happening from the communities that we come from. Like, I come from the Bronx, Black community where a lot of gun violence happens. And I feel like we can deal with like prevention and then also support afterwards. That would be a good thing to do. So that's what I'm here for. To
Thank you.
Help bridge the gap.
Thank you so much, Namel. And I'm glad that you brought it back to support, because that's one of the things that, that we are here for at the Reeve Foundation. I would ask other members of our panel, what is something that you would like to see more of in the support area to improve the quality of life for people that live with spinal cord injury due to violence? Erin, did you want to share?
Yes, sure. I think the biggest thing is getting the information out there, because we're a very small community due to the fact that the type of injury most people have to sustain to get a spinal cord injury is very traumatic. So a lot of people die and they don't make it. The understanding that just to get Reeve's name out there, because Reeve is the best source, as I work on the Paralysis Resource Center side, the best information out there to understand rehab facilities, to understand truly, once you get out of the hospital, what your life is going to be like.
Mhm. That's great. Mario, I know that you work with the community.
Yes, I do. For the past 22 years, I've been in the position to be adaptive sports coordinator for, adaptive sports, whether it's, wheelchair users, limb loss, spinal bifida. So it's all across the board. The thing with me is it's really about access, us having access. As Namel spoke, all of us, I feel that our community needs to bring us in on the front end of when they're building, or supplying things for the community. I feel that we're left out. So, I've been on plenty of committees when it comes to building, whether it's recreation centers and things like that, and it's not accessible to some point. It's just the bare minimum accessibility. And I find that to be a big problem. As far as, helping persons with disabilities who acquire a disability due to a tragic event, I just try to help them find the joy back in life, telling them to give themselves a chance, give your spirit a chance to get back, because it is hard. But, being a mentor, finding a mentor, that's the key to getting back to life and finding yourself.
Thank you. Anna, would you like to share any of your experience being a mentor and what that has meant to you and your journey?
Sure. For me, like being a mentor is everything. I think that's like being a mentor is how I initially got involved with the Reeve Foundation and speaking to a lot of moms who acquire disabilities. But for me, I just think it's important speaking with children who acquire like their injury due to gun violence, because a lot of the children that I speak to, they don't really have, like connections with like their family, like in a positive way, especially coming from Detroit. So I think just seeing someone who looks like them that also acquired their injury the same way, I just think it's important to just have someone who looks like you and someone who you can bounce ideas and just understand the journey with. So that's just my take on it.
Chris, from a caregiver's perspective, what do you think that would like to see more of as for support for caregivers?
Yeah, when we had no idea until Kevin was shot what navigating that world was going to look like, and unfortunately, you just don't know until you experience it. But we didn't really know how bare bones the support is for individuals with severe disabilities, and kind of the burden that we place on caregivers and family, which was something that we were, there was no doubt we were going to take care of Kevin, but it caused a lot of strain for Kevin, who, we'd always tell him it's not a burden, but he felt it. And Kevin also knew that he was relatively fortunate, which sounds crazy, for someone who's kind of left to die on the streets to feel. He would always tell me he felt fortunate because, unlike many other people who were shot, especially at that level, Kevin had a lot of support. He had a caregiver and a place to call home right away. My dad was able to retire a little bit early and essentially started kind of a new unpaid full-time position as Kevin's primary caregiver, along with help from my oldest brother, JP, and family and friends who could help with Kevin. He had great support from the community. We had a local construction company build an accessible addition to our childhood home that had a mechanical lift system and an accessible shower. He had a lot of financial support. We were able to raise money for things like an accessible van, which are, not covered by insurance, but necessary if you want to get around and lead a normal life as much as you can. And because of that, Kevin got a lot better care than he would have if he had been in a nursing home, and he had a lot more independence. And Kevin always knew that he was really fortunate to have that. That's not something that happens for everyone. And, even toward the end, with my dad getting older, we weren't sure what the future was going to hold for him, without, someone who could live with him 24/7 and cover those shifts in the middle of the night when the nurse calls out. Right. So my biggest thing is I think we need to make sure that people have a place to call home and that we have caregiving consistency, especially for in-home care. Making sure people can live independently in the community. We have a rapidly aging population. There's a tremendous demand for caregiving. And to me, the biggest thing we can do for people like Kevin is to make sure that we have people who can take care of them. And that's something we need everybody to kind of chime in and push for more funding for caregiving and making sure that programs work well for people to live at home in their communities.
Thank you, Chris. I love how you lift up Kevin's name, and he is still fighting for this with all of us. And I always like to hear from caregivers because that is definitely one of our priorities here at the foundation. We want to make sure that there are things that speak to the needs of the caregivers. But going back, I also want to just ask our panelists, thinking about your health team. I know that there were different times when you were injured, but is there anything that when you look back to after your injury, is there anything that you would have liked to see more of from your healthcare team after your injury, or anything that was really that you think really helped you onto the path that you're on today that was a good part of your journey after your injury that you'd want to share?
Sure, I can go. Well, I guess I have two answers for that. I had a strong support system, and I think the hospital took that as that everyone was going to know what to do when I was let out of rehab, and no one had any idea. I also didn't, I started with a pressure sore in the hospital that turned into a stage 4. I ended up having to have surgery on. And like I said, that's my connection to the Reeve Foundation and understanding places where I could get the surgery that I needed. So the bad part was the being released from the hospital and really not having a clue how much, especially in the beginning, how important pressure relief is, and really understanding how your body functions or doesn't anymore. But then on the positive side, having the Reeve Foundation to give us options and places that I could go and get the surgery that I needed that ultimately saved my life and has allowed me to live, a very full life ever since.
Great, thank you, Erin. Namel, do you want to share a little bit about soon after your injury? I believe now you were in, can you tell a little bit? I've heard you share before, so you can share your rehab story.
Yeah, well, my rehab story was a journey. I think like similar when I remember when I went home, I had to get back familiar with my community. When I went to rehab, I was in Burke Rehab. Shout out to Burke Rehab, which was a lot different from my community that I came from, like coming from the inner city. This was like upstate, and it was like a different environment for me. and I didn't. It wasn't too many other spinal cord injury patients there. But one thing that did happen to me while I was there that was pretty cool. I actually got to meet Christopher Reeves while I was there, and he was like he was a big inspiration of mine at the time. He spoke to me. He was coming there to do a little therapy in the evenings, and it was like my first encounter with someone that I'd seen. I knew like walked before, and took a big loss to their life that I felt like I was about to go through, and it gave me like some kind of hope, because I felt like that I could keep going and pushing for something, because I was lost at the time, and when I met Christopher Reeves, it gave me like an insight to moving forward. And so when I went home, I wanted to. I was doing music before my injury, but I felt like I wanted to like change. Like I remember Christopher Reeves was doing a lot to like for a cure. And when I went home, I felt like I wanted to speak up for something too, because I was experiencing a lot of things. It was like I wasn't being able to walk every day. I'm thinking like, how can I walk again? I was like, oh, Christopher Reeves already got that lane, you know? So I was like, oh, maybe I can, all right, but I don't hear nobody speaking up for accessibility. So I wanted to like speak up. And when I met Rick, we made a song called The Movement, and it was about talking about stores being more accessible. And that was so a lot of my music and art comes from those times when I went through a lot of things being back home, and I was able to express those things through my music and through my art. And like I said, it goes back to meeting Christopher Reeves and knowing that I still could have a voice, because it was like tangible to me. And from there, I started to do that a lot. We started going to like hospitals and stuff, and that became like my form of therapy, being back home, after actually having an outlet for a lot of things that was frustrating me. And I say that to say, like, when it comes to support for people when they go home, I think it's important for them to have a path to be able to express themselves, whether it's art, whether it's going back to school. I went back to school, graduated from high school. That gave me like in college, but that gave me an opportunity to like it gave me an opportunity to be able to like interact with people, meet people, get see my personality from a different way, because before I was injured, I didn't know. I mean, I knew myself, I knew my friends, but afterwards I was kind of lost in that field. And going back to school, a new school, meeting people, it gave me like an impression of what society was like, and getting to know people, build on my own personality and my character through like going to school. So I'm just bringing those things up because I think when it comes to like supporting someone after they get spinal cord injuries, I think those type of things are very important. Being able to have an outlet to express yourself, and when you're going through frustrating things, so you don't got to keep it all inside. That's very therapeutic. Things bother us, and we don't have to just settle for those things. There's a way we can make changes and advocate for ourselves. I think that's very important. And then being willing to open up and give people pathways to like get back ingratiated into society, whether it's school, they want to do some kind of trade or something, like something to keep people active on a day-to-day basis, so we don't sit and think about the trauma and all those things, and be productive and like be able to like build on our trauma and have support of that. Because I had to go find it, and I was able to be inspired by meeting like Christopher Reeves. But if there's things to like put people right on those paths from the beginning, with those things in mind, knowing what's going to happen, how people can like, be successful in life, get back to being like who they were before, finding their new identity, those things will be very helpful.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Namel. Anna, did you want to? Oh,
Nope.
Go ahead, Mario, and then Anna.
Well, I'm listening to like Namel and Aaron, great points. And mine was so long ago. It's, like I said, it'll be 36 years in November when I got injured. I was, pre-ADA, I was 1988. So it was hard And I always reflect back when I talk and when I do my peer mentoring back to how I felt and how lost I was and how scared, angry. I was the whole gamut, and not only that, I I pushed away the notion of being around people that was in wheelchairs. I didn't want to be around other people in wheelchairs because I didn't want to be seen as weak. I thought it was, weak. So the things that I was pushing away and the help that I needed was right there in front of me, but I was pushing it away because of my mind state. And, again, 18 years old, I'm still really basically a kid. And this is around the time, drugs ravage, all of our communities, crack cocaine and everything like that. And so, I didn't really think about it. I didn't know what to think about. I didn't know where I was headed. And I look at my injury as a blessing in disguise. And I know some people look at me sideways when I say that, because where I was at and where I was headed wasn't good. It really wasn't good. So I wouldn't be the man that I am today if this didn't happen for me. I wouldn't be able to impact people's lives like I've been doing. That's because of my, just as the other great panelists here, it's the path that everybody came a different way. Gun violence is the thing that connects us, but everybody has different paths of how they got here today. And I just want to bring, from my end of it as being a sports coordinator, it's not about the sports, because, they're coming like, hey, come and talk to this, kid about sports. No, don't nobody want to hear about no sports. And, they want to know how they can live, how they can live a full life, still have fun, or even finding happiness again, if they ever were happy before the injury. So it's a mental thing, it's a social aspect of things, because it's deeper, it gets really deep. But with the help, that's where we come, that's where all of these great people come into play, because we are the ones that, it's not even about us, it's about us reaching back. Everything that we're doing, everything that I've did the last 30 years, that wasn't available, was available now because of what we're fighting for. So, it's just about opening up your heart fully, having an open mind, and sharing, just like Aaron did with the pressure sores. I talk about some of the worst times just to make them feel better, because that will make them feel, because okay. So that's the thing. You want to let them know, like, man, because they see me and he drives, he has his own place, but how did I get there? See, it's a buildup, and I let them know that, and I let them know that they can do it because, I've done it and other people have done it.
Okay. Thank you, Mario. And I wanted to give you a chance to share. I know that your injury happened when you were a child, and you may not remember, but share just how things have changed from when you were first injured to now.
Yeah, so I was injured at 14 months old, like I stated, and that was in 1992. So I got injured. I had just started walking right before taking my first steps right before my accident happened. So for me, a lot has changed. A lot of the resources that are available now wasn't available in 1992. Just someone being able to drive with an injury, like that wasn't something my mom or my family knew about or was prepared for. So I never got that experience to be able, I'm a 33-year-old woman, and I didn't have the resources weren't available to me or presented to my family to be able to have a lot of things that a lot of people do have, that we do have now. So that's how it has changed and like impacted me. A lot of the resources just weren't available in 1992 that are available now today. So
Thank you. I also want to just acknowledge there was a poll that popped up during our panel, because we also want to hear from you, our attendees, and how gun violence has impacted your life. So I believe it's still open. You have time, and we will share those results at the end. But thank you so much to our panel. It's been a pleasure hearing your voices and stories today. I just wanted, we have a minute or two if Erin, if you had anything else you wanted to share, or Chris.
Sure. One thing I want to say that I learned when I went to the summit was I have no issue telling my story. It was a domestic violence incident. It never occurred to me that other people felt shame around sharing their stories because of what a gun violence incident associated them with. And so I think we need to find a way to address that stigma, because personally, I don't care how anybody got where they are. We're all trying to achieve the same goal and help other folks. But it really did make me aware that, not everybody, no matter how tragic or not our stories are, that there's, extra levels of trauma and different things associated. So I appreciate learning that. But if any way that I can help, or any of us can help relieve any sort of stigma around that, I think that's something we should work towards.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you for your service to our country too as a veteran. On that note, I am going to turn things over to, we're going to hear from Access Living. So I'm going to turn things over to, I believe, Candace. Hi, Kim.
I want to properly introduce our friends at Access Living. I also want to thank the previous panel. Those stories can be very difficult to hear, and we're very grateful for your courage and your willingness to share your story, but also be part of an advocacy movement to improve lives. So I really do want to acknowledge that, and I want to thank you very, very much. We're moving on now to, we alluded to in the beginning, we also want to highlight some really important organizations working to improve the lives of people who've been impacted by gun violence. And we've invited and are so thrilled that two colleagues at the Access Living, which is a center for independent living serving the city of Chicago. We have two speakers, Candace Coleman. She is the community strategy specialist at Access Living. She is a Black disabled woman from the South Side of Chicago. She works closely with disabled people affected by the justice system to organize around racial justice and disability. Coleman's most notable work involves organizing mental and behavioral health emergency response. She played a very important role in passing the Community Emergency Services and Supports Act in 2021. She continues to work diligently to implement non-police alternatives to emergency response in these situations. I also want to introduce our second speaker from Access Living, Mr. Michael Walt Hall. He is the program coordinator for Access Living's Disabled Survivors of Gun Violence program. Prior to joining the Access Living team full-time in May of 2024, Michael worked as a part-time peer facilitator for the listening sessions that would help form the program he now oversees. Michael is a survivor of gun violence and uses his lived experience to assist others surviving in his current role. Thank you, Candace and Michael. We're so grateful you're here.
Thank you so much for having us. I want to make sure I give a description before I share screen. I am an African-American woman with a long face and a big smile. I have braids today, which are brown and gold, and I'm wearing a gold blazer, and my background is the Access Living logo, which is purple and white letters with rings going in a circle in the background. And I'll turn it over to Michael to introduce himself, and then I'll start our presentation. Michael.
He's muted.
Sorry about that. Hello, my name is Michael Walthall. I am a Black male spinal cord injury wheelchair user. I am currently sitting in my wheelchair. I have on a blue shirt with red, white designs. My background is my bedroom, two closed doors behind me.
Michael? So I'm really excited to present to you a little bit about what Access Living does. Access Living has been in existence since 1980. We are a center for independent living in Chicago, and we challenge disability stereotypes, protect civil rights, and champion social reforms. We offer vital services, supports, and advocacy for Chicagoans with disabilities and consulting services to companies and nonprofits to help make the world a more inclusive. Our vision is that we want a world free from barriers and discrimination, where disability is respected and a natural part of the human experience, and people with disabilities are included and valued. Our mission is to ignite disability power, pride, and provide critical services and break down systemic barriers to create a stronger, more inclusive society. We do 5 key services. Just note that across the country, there are about 400 centers for independent living. And so we all do these 5 core services, which includes advocacy, independent living skills, transition support, peer support, and information and referral. And I'll turn it over to Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Walthall, and I am the new program coordinator at Access Living for the Survivors of Gun Violence program. Basically, on some research that Access Living did through the years of 2021 until 2023, we decided that the work was very important to provide survivors of gun violence with resources, information referral, and peer support. Our goal is to assist the success and increase the quality of life and the independent living skills, the health and relationship, and also social well-being to all of the survivors of gun violence. Our goal is to collaborate with hospitals, nursing facilities, churches, police departments, local schools, and other nonprofit entities to identify these consumers. Next slide, please. Who we serve and will focus on at the moment will be Chicagoland area survivors of gun violence. And when we say survivors of gun violence, that doesn't necessarily just mean a physical disability. It also can be mental or a non-visible disability. We are looking to gather consumers who are newly injured survivors. So of course, that would be from day of injury. We would say to about maybe a year out, we will consider you a newly injured survivor, I'm sorry. And post-injury survivors, we will be considering you at about 1 year out, and we will be focused on giving you continued support, resources and tools and information that can increase your quality of life and your independent living skills post-injury. Access Living also has internal programs that we will refer some of our clients over to, and we also will be utilizing the support of other local entities in Chicago to help us as well. And I believe that is it. If there's any questions for me and Candace.
Hi there, I have a question. So I know you guys are based out of Chicago.
Yes.
Is there like a network? Because I know we have a tremendous amount of gun violence in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I'm based out of. And I don't know, I also haven't looked if there are any similar programs here. Do you guys have some sort of network with other groups or?
So this is Candace speaking. In our research that we've been doing for the past couple of years, people across the country have actually been reaching out to us because they don't have that network yet. But once we get the program underway, because it's just launching in July, we're going to build that network across the country. Because one of the things that happened during our research process is a text message went out across the country, and 131 people reached back out looking for the network that you're describing. And so we definitely know that it is a much needed resource, and we want to provide that groundwork to help build that out, not just locally to Chicago, but across the country.
Awesome, thank you.
I want to thank, I'm just checking the chat, the Q&A. I know we're in midway through the webinar. I want to thank Michael and Candace. I also want to encourage people to put questions or comments in the Q&A, and we can always connect you to some of our speakers should you want to learn more. Again, thank you, Michael. We really appreciate it, and Candace. Before we move on.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, and thank you for staying on as well, in case there are additional questions. I want to highlight also the Access Living is a quality of life grantee of the National Paralysis Resource Center. So we're thrilled to also continue to work with them in that capacity as well. My colleague will talk a little bit more about the Resource Center and some of our programs. Her name is Regina Bly. She's the Chief Program and Policy Officer. I'm proud to call her. She oversees the entire National Paralysis Resource Center. And I look forward to hearing her story, but also the important work that she oversees here at the foundation. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Kim. It is a pleasure to be here today. Quickly, I'd like to describe myself. I'm a Black, middle-aged African-American woman. I have dreadlocks that are black or brown and red. I'm wearing orange today in support and solidarity of the Gun Violence Awareness Month. And I am a person who uses a wheelchair. I'm a C6, C7 quadriplegia. So moving forward, I'd like to give you some information about the resources that are available should you contact the National Paralysis Resource Center. So moving to the next slide, I'd like to give you some information about how we operate. And so in partnership with the Administration for Community Living, the National Paralysis Resource Center offers a free, comprehensive national source of informational support for people living with paralysis and their caregivers. Our primary goals are to foster involvement in the community, promote health, and improve quality of life for those living with or impacted by paralysis. On the screen, there is a picture of an African-American male using a wheelchair. He is a participant of the National Paralysis Resource Center. We've been in operation now since 2002, and we've had an opportunity to meet with and assist people that are all over the country as well as internationally. So next, I'd like to talk about some of the resources that are available for individuals should they contact us. So moving to the next slide. I want to talk about our programs and resources. We have our information specialists. We've served so far over 112 families and individuals one-on-one when they call us asking for information around paralysis or caregiving. We've also provided information in over 170 languages. It's important to know that we also receive these calls when someone suffers an injury such as gun violence, when they are out and about doing their normal business and they are a part of some sort of mass shooting, or they were at an event and something happens, we receive those frontline calls, and our information specialists are the ones that are receiving those calls and providing information to those individuals. Because they're new to the community, they don't know where to turn or what resources are available. So our information specialists are frontline individuals that provide that information to those individuals. We have our peer and family support program, and these are peers with same disabilities, providing information and guidance to those who are seeking someone to be able to talk to about a situation that might be familiar to someone else. And it's important to know about that peer-to-peer model. It helps to build confidence, break down barriers for someone that might be shy about situations that they may be facing that they never thought that they would be talking to someone about as intimate as bowel and bladder. How do you manage those things? Or where do you go if you're trying to find accessible accommodations? Being a part of this peer network is very important. We also have individuals that are gun violence survivors, so we can match you up with someone else to help you find out ways to navigate living with paralysis. Our quality of life grants program is also an important one if you're a nonprofit that works with individuals with paralysis. Just as our previous speakers, we funded the organization. We've also funded a couple or more organizations that focuses on gun violence, whether it's having support groups or if they're looking at prevention. We have funding for those organizations that focuses in this area. And we hope that we could find more individuals, more organizations that are interested in this area and are focused on trying to make sure that we increase the quality of life for those individuals that are impacted by gun violence. So if there is anyone on the call who's already doing this work and they need more funding and support, then please contact us. I believe that we have Dan on the call today, and so he's hearing everything that's going on, and he should be able to provide more information about how you can apply for these funds. We also have our military and veterans program for those who are injured either through service or if it's outside of providing service to the country. We have opportunity for those of you to be able to have services through that. And I also think that Bernadette is on the call today and will be able to provide assistance to individuals there. We also have our advocacy and policy program. I know for sure that we have members of the team that are here. And this is important because I would say that one of the reasons why you don't hear a lot about gun violence awareness is because it's tied to politics. And this is one area where you should move politics from this and just focus on what the impact looks like for people who are losing their lives and those who are trying to figure out how to maintain their existence, whether that's living with paralysis or some other disability due to gun violence. And so it's important to be able to understand the difference between the two and be able to advocate for those policies that can move the needle, because this is a public health crisis. It's one that doesn't get enough attention. And as Aaron mentioned, a lot of it is tied to stigma. A lot of people don't want to talk about how they're injured because people start to think negative things about you, like, what did you do wrong? Or were you a part of a family that didn't raise you up right and you ended up getting shot? And in today's time, you can just go to the grocery store, attend a parade, just go out walking, and you could experience gun violence. You could go to school and experience gun violence. And so it's so prevalent now. It's important to make sure that people understand the policies, ways to prevent gun violence. And our team can be able to help you when you're looking at those types of things. I also have a Reeve Summit here because it's also an opportunity for us to continue the conversation. On this page is a picture, and some of these individuals are on this webinar today, are pictured in this on the screen, and these are all gun violence survivors. And we had a session specifically on gun violence, and it was really impactful. This doesn't represent all of the individuals that attended our summit recently that were impacted by violence or gun violence, but it is kind of a portrait to let you know what it looks like for people who are living and surviving. Back in the day, people thought that you wouldn't live past a certain period of time if you experienced gun violence. And now there's opportunity to see that not only can you live, you can be successful, you can thrive, and you can be able to motivate and help others that are in the same situation. And so this picture to me is very powerful and important because it illustrates positivity. It illustrates what the future looks like. And then there's also a picture on the screen that illustrates the resources that you can be able to have access should you be able to attend one of our exhibits. Okay, moving to the next slide. We have materials that are available that focuses on the landscape of paralysis. We have wallet cards that are available, fact sheets and publications. Several of those publications also focus specifically on gun violence. And also, if you receive paralysis due to the fact of violence, we also have information to help you also navigate being someone that is living due to violence. I myself, I've experienced gun violence when I was at the age of 10. I was shot in the neck at a slumber party. So I have been living this journey now for over 37 years. And before, it was really taboo for me to say that because people really were taken aback by the fact that I was shot at a young age, and they were curious about where my mom was and what happened, but I was in a safe place. But still, I ended up in a situation that I never thought would happen. My mom had to stop working and she took care of me full time because I couldn't do those things myself. And as the gentleman mentioned earlier, I'm free ADA. I'm free all those kinds of policies that were out there that were beneficial to me. So I didn't have access to resources like the Christopher and Danny Reeve Foundation. I didn't have access to policies that could support me. So I went to schools that were not accessible because we didn't have those laws in place. And so now I am completely encouraged by what the future looks like. I see people with disabilities and they're beyond thriving. And it's because of the resources and the supports that are out there. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited that I work for the foundation, because not only am I working and I'm employed, but I'm also learning about things that are beneficial for myself. And so it's a little bit of a selfish piece there because I'm also learning as I am working, but it is a privilege. I'm still an independent living head. Again, I'm so glad that I still spoke before me, and I know that there are people representing the IL network on the call, and it really is about community. So Deborah, to your question about trying to figure out how to get your emotions in check and be able to get past anger, I think the main thing that you have to do, and it's also with myself, is to be able to find peace within yourself. And it doesn't come easy. It took a long time for me to figure out what that looks like. I didn't go and press charges against the person who shot me. That individual was young too. I had to go to school with that individual. I saw that person every day. And I still had to figure out how to keep my mental state intact for me to be able to live. I didn't find opportunities for this person to take up headspace. I didn't want that individual to take up my headspace. So I figured out ways for me to figure out what does peace mean to me. Being active, engaged in my community, making sure that I have access to resources, and building a support network was really important to me. It's one of the reasons why I got involved in independent living, is because it was all wrapped up in one for me to be able to figure out how to navigate those things and make sure that I have a positive mind state while I figured out how to navigate having paralysis and doing things knowing that I thought at one point I was going to be a basketball star, and now I was just trying to figure out how I was going to live. It really started out with me just being at peace and one with myself, and then having that support system. And I like to sing too. I Those who know me, I can't turn down a good dance floor. I'm out there, I'm dancing, I'm figuring out ways just to be able to have a good positive mindset. And then also connecting again, not only with just Centers for Independent Living, but also the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation and other organizations that have an opportunity for you to gain knowledge, to be informed, and to build that support network. And so knowing that if you have access to those things, it helps you to have a good frame of reference and to be able to make sure that you are a viable individual in the community. So going to the next page. If you'd like to connect with me, here's information on the page. You can also reach out to the foundation in general. As I mentioned, there are several people that are on the call today that represents the programs. I also believe that Bill is on the call, who is the Director of Peer and Family Support. We can be able to follow up with you to be able to help you kind of navigate whatever it is that you are going through. Again, thank you so much for having me. I think this is an important conversation that should be talked about more than what it is now. And I am just so thankful that we have an organization that is having this public health crisis as a priority, and will continue to have these conversations until everyone sees that it is a crisis, and we're figuring out ways to make it so that people who are surviving have more access to resources. Thank you again.
Regina, thank you so much for presenting and also for sharing your very personal story. We're so grateful that you're leading us, so thank you very much. I want to acknowledge that we're receiving some wonderful questions, and we're going to do our best to address these. We have one more panel, wonderful panel of speakers, and I will just want to let the attendees know that we're going to do our best to address these. And I think maybe when the panelists, the next panel goes, you could think about, if you have time, to talk a little bit about issues of discrimination because of your injury, how you handle personal care assistance, issues like that are coming up in the chat. So if you're able to address those in the next panel, that'd be wonderful. I'd like to have my colleague Hannah Sawyer, who's our wonderful content specialist from our outreach and education team, introduce our next panel. Hannah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you so much, Regina, for that wonderful presentation and all of your words and wisdom and work. And a huge thank you also to everybody who has been on this presentation today, sharing your stories, all very, very, very important. So I'm going to introduce the next panel. And this is a group of individuals from Rochester Spinal Association's Gun Violence Survivors Support Group. We were lucky enough to have the majority of these panelists at our Reeve Summit 2024 in DC, discussing community supports for gun violence survivors. And we're thrilled again to welcome them for another conversation for this webinar. So Chris Hildebrandt will be moderating. Chris was paralyzed in a diving accident in 1990. He's been a professional advocate for over 25 years, and he now heads Rochester Spinal Association. He also helped create Rochester Spinal Association's social support group for individuals with SCI from gun violence. I'm going to pause real quick because I forgot to visually describe myself. I'm a white woman with a blondish brown ponytail. I'm outside on my balcony. I'm wearing a pink t-shirt and orange earrings, and my wheelchair is blurred in the background as well. So then also joining us from Rochester Spinal Association support group, we have Rasan Shine Wise. Shine was living in Philadelphia in 2021 when he was shot and paralyzed. He's gone quickly from depending on family members to traveling the country on his own and visiting his rehabilitation center to train therapists and patients on life with SCI. We also have Ralph Norman. Ralph was 17 when he when he was in the car with friends and gunfire broke out from opposite sides of the street. A bullet struck Ralph in the neck. He is now an avid gamer, living in his own apartment and managing his aid services. Ralph uses his years of experience to connect others with SCI to resources that can help. And last, but certainly not least, we have Shay Powell. Shay was a homeowner in the city of Rochester, working full-time as a certified nursing assistant and raising her 2 children when her ex-boyfriend broke into her house and shot her in the back. Shay was paralyzed. Since the attack, Shay has worked diligently to rehabilitate and become independent again. She recently completed her GED and became a certified nail technician. She's still raising her 2 children, provides support for many other people in her family, and she also provides peer support to others with new spinal cord injuries, and is one of the hosts of Rochester Spinal Association's nightly social and support meeting for survivors of gun violence. So thank you all for joining us, and I am going to go ahead and hand this over to Chris.
Thanks, Hannah. Thank everybody else who's on here. Thanks everybody, especially the panelists that came before us. So as Hannah explained, I'm Chris Hildebrandt. I'm the executive director of the Rochester Spinal Association. Visually, I'm a middle-aged white man, light blue shirt with orange trim. Not pictured for anybody anyway, as I'm sitting in a black manual wheelchair with red spokes, and I think that point is important. So how we got here at this particular moment, I was hired in to be the director of our spinal cord injury chapter about 4.5 years ago. And one of our priorities was very much outreach and a recognition that we needed to do better and do more for people of color living with spinal cord injuries in our region. COVID came, it made outreach a little challenging for a while. After that calmed down, I was fortunate to be able to get into our rehab hospital and meet most new injuries. And a lot of the individuals that I was meeting at that time were young men of color who had been shot and paralyzed, new spinal cord injuries. And as somebody who has lived for 34 years with my own spinal cord injury, I know a lot about spinal cord injury. I'm very comfortable providing support in that realm. But as somebody that grew up in a very rural town and lives in an affluent suburb, some of the other issues that we were talking about were not so comfortable for me. And just, recognizing my own weakness, I was not the one to provide a lot of support to individuals that were talking about when they discharge, they're going to be living in the same neighborhood where they were shot, or they're concerned that the person who shot them is going to come back to try to finish the job. They feel like more of a target now than ever before. So I was fortunate that I had some colleagues who were much more capable in that regard. And we recognized that, all spinal cord injuries are challenging. But if somebody, has been the victim of violence, survived violence, it's just that much more. If you're living in a city with a high rate of poverty and there's not a lot of resources available to you, it's just that much more challenging. And that was really the catalyst behind RSA starting a support group initially just for individuals here in Rochester who had been shot and paralyzed and were living, with that disability. Over a short period of time, we recognized the importance of it. Our group here started meeting more regularly. We started to grow across the state. We'll hear a little bit more of that when Ralph speaks. And then in a matter of a few months, I was able to secure funding from a couple of local foundations so that I could hire 2 of the individuals you're going to hear from in a minute to be peer hosts on a Zoom. And we made the Zoom go nationwide every day. And when we say every day, we mean literally every day for nearly almost 2 years now. In addition to the Zoom and the support group, and it really, because of the Zoom and the support group, RSA has gotten more and more involved in supporting individuals who are surviving with paralysis due to gun violence. And as you heard from some of our earlier panelists, one of the most important things we can do is provide more resources. So what we've been able to do, we got funding, we were able to hire a social worker who works explicitly with individuals with spinal cord injuries from gun violence. That's been a half-time position. Pretty hopeful that soon that will become a full-time position. And then the other additional component we added just recently is thanks to the Christopher Reeve Foundation. We've been able to hire a registered nurse who's doing ongoing spinal cord injury teaching for individuals with spinal cord injuries. Part of the racial equity initiative, it's for anybody with a spinal cord injury who is a person of color living in the city of Rochester. Just recognizing that a couple of weeks in rehab is not nearly enough to really learn everything that is self-care for living with spinal cord injury. I would invite now my co-panelists, my colleagues, turn your cameras on. And if we can start by just introductions of who you are, how you got hurt, and what brings you into all of this. And I believe that we agreed that Shine would go for, no, Ralph. We volunteered Ralph to go first.
Oh, hey, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Ralph Norman. I'm a quadriplegic, C2, C4. I have a sky blue shirt on. I'm very handsome, just to let you guys know. And I have pink headphones on as well. Yeah. On the 27th this month will make 14 years. I've been in a wheelchair. I was struck in my neck at the age of 17. I was in a car with my friends and gunshots rang out and I was struck in my neck. Yeah, so 14 years in now, it's been a rough journey. I mean, but I made it through, and now I do a nationwide host a nationwide group as a peer mentor with my co-host, my slash wife, Portia. And we just, I'm just here to, show people my experience and help them, go forward in life, after spinal cord injury. I try to use my experience to help others and let them know that, life's not over, that we still have life and we can still move on. And, what, there's much more after after wheelchair life. It just doesn't stop just because you're in a wheelchair now. Currently, like if I'm not a hosting, I like the game. I'm a affiliate streamer and I'm get paid to stream playing video games, and that's basically my story right now.
Thank you, Ralph.
Mhm.
Shine.
How you doing? My name is Shine. I'm a Black African American man. I'm wearing a black Nike T-shirt and a Army fatigue New York fitted hat. I'm 45 years old. I'm a victim of a gunshot. I was driving a car in Philadelphia, and somebody shot the car up. One of the bullets went through my neck and shattered my spine, collapsed my lungs, and it came out of my back. And I was in a dark place. I didn't know what happened. I woke up in the ICU, not being able to talk, not knowing what's going on. And then I had to take that journey. And during the process of my journey, I went through like 2 or 3 different houses, like, living places, trying to find the right spot. Everybody wasn't wheelchair accessible. Then people wasn't taking care of me right. So then I had to come to Atlanta, Georgia. Come down here to Georgia where my mom was at, because she'd been down here for 20 years, and nobody's not going to take care of you like your mom is. So I tipped my hat to my mom because she got me stronger again, and she had to put up with all my BS. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it was a lot going on. So in the process of that, I ended up finding the Shepherd Center Rehabilitation Center in Georgia, downtown Atlanta. That's a real good rehabilitation center. And one of the paraplegics in there that runs a group gave me Chris's Rochester's Zoom meeting group, and I logged onto there, and a lot of people on there, they was paralyzed longer than me. So I was on there just asking so many questions every day. I would even fall asleep on the phone on there with them, and they brought me all the way back, man. Got me stronger again. I even one of the brothers on there showed me some things. I even took a trip, flew on an airplane down there to stay a week down there with them by myself, and that was a big jump for me from being paralyzed. And what was that, 2 years I was in? It's been 3 years now I've been like this, and I came a long way fast. And now I'm encouraging people, mentoring people, and helping out and doing things in the community for the other people. But I think that we should work on, if we could, like housing. Housing is real hard for the paraplegics to get and the quads to get. And that should be like a major issue for us to, while we're in the rehab, before we even get out, we should be like trying to work on that, because that's real hard. And they say we have first priority, but I don't be seeing it. Like, all right, that's my story in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you, Shay. Shay Powell.
I thought y'all was gonna forget about me. No, just kidding. I am a African American woman with a purple, black, and white shirt on, with a purple headscarf, tying my locks up. I am from Rochester, New York. I was shot January 25th, make 4 years ago. I was shot and paralyzed by my ex-boyfriend. He kicked my front door in and shot me one time in the back. I am a T7 incomplete. Since then, I did go back to school to receive my GED. I am a New York State licensed nail tech. I went to school for nails. And I am a mother of 2 beautiful children.
Thanks, Shay. So can you each take a minute or two to address how did you come into this group and what has it meant for you personally?
I'll go first. So, yeah, about 3 years ago now, or 2.5 years ago, I was at the Abilities Expo, New Jersey, and I stopped at the United Final booth, and they asked me what I was doing with my life. Besides, I told them just sitting at the house playing video games, and they told me, do you do any, peer support? Do you talk to anybody? I said, no, not really. And they mentioned some groups in my area, and me being in Yonkers, close to New York City, they offered me the New York City chapter, and then they told me about a group upstate New York, which was the Rochester Spinal Association. And Chris reached out and emailed me, and it's been like history ever since. It was like I joined a bi-weekly group for until we transitioned the group into a daily group, for a nationwide. The group's been very like therapeutic, because I always loved helping people before injury. So now that I'm able to like help and talk to people, while I'm injured, and I can relate to people and kind of help them cope with their injury, it's been like a very therapeutic for me, and I love to see me making a change in other people's lives too, knowing that that they bring them back hope, letting them know that life's not over. And if I can do it as a quad, you can do it as a paraplegic, as a quadriplegic. I'm just giving people hope and inspiration that life is not over. And like it took me maybe 11 years in to ever even admit to people that I had got a gunshot. I'm injured because of a gunshot. I was embarrassed to tell people of me being injured, especially being Black, because they would, stereotype you for being in a gang, and which that wasn't the case for me. So but me be able to speak my truth and say that I didn't do this to myself, someone did this to me, I don't have to be embarrassed. I shouldn't have to be embarrassed. So me speaking to others that I can relate to, that suffered through a gunshot and became paralyzed, it's just been helping me, and me to help others, and they're helping me just by speaking to others that's in my same predicament or whatever, living the same way I live.
Thanks, Ralph. Shine,
Yes.
how did you come into the group? What has it meant for you?
One of the peer support brothers at the Shepherd Center, James, gave me your phone number and told me that you had a Rochester Zoom meeting group every night, a support group for paraplegics that have been victim of gunshots. So he gave me your Zoom number, and I jumped on there, and I started talking to Ralph and Shay, and they started walking me through situations that I really needed. And that was it, man. I took off from there. I just stayed with you guys for a year and just started like piggybacking off of everything, putting it to use, listening, and I'm here now. There's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Shay?
If I'm being completely honest, I do not know. I don't remember. I don't remember how I got invited to the group.
It was probably those phone calls from me that you didn't want to answer.
Yeah, most likely. But it was 3 years ago, I want to say. maybe, yeah, 3 years ago. And I started, well, I wasn't joining all the time 3 years ago. I was joining, I guess, when I felt like it. And eventually I started joining every time it was group, and now I join almost every day. I think the group has been very therapeutic. I made these people my family. I talk to them more than I talk to my family. Well, I try not to talk to Ralph, but yeah, everybody else, I talk to them more than I talk to my family. I also went and me and my kids traveled to Houston, Texas to meet a couple of the guys, and we stayed for 10 days. And it was very awesome. I will say that it was my first time taking a plane. But yeah, that's it.
Excellent, thanks. I think maybe you guys can also add a little of like what difference, what importance do you see for the other people that are participating in the group? And then I think we'll try to address some of the questions and issues that have come up in the chat. So what difference have you seen the group make for some of the other individuals participating?
Basically, you know, a lot of people, they gain growth, they gain strength, they gain confidence. And they, you know, like we had a lady that's, you know, from out of the country. She was, you know, she's able to spirit, you know, speak her truth now. She never admitted to herself that she was paralyzed. You know, she never told nobody. And then for her to, you know, now to openly say that, you know, to admit that, yeah, I am in a wheelchair. So people just gain back confidence, and they, you know, they understand his life, you know. And me being a quad, you know, with a few other people that's in the group, they look at me, they look at us, you know, like, damn, you know, they can only move their head. And so, I mean, I don't mind it, you know, if that's how you want to look at me, to give you strength and motivation, so be it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's basically what it gives you. Basically giving people hope back, and, you know, let them know that, you know,
Yeah.
it ain't
Ralph
over
gave
until
me
it's
a lot
over.
of inspiration, man. Ralph gave me a lot of inspiration because I always look at somebody that's like in a worse position than me. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, damn, Ralph only can move his head, but he doing more than me still on the back end. And it's crazy. And I look at that like, damn, he don't even know that. Like, I'll be looking up to that. Like, how can I do that? It's deep, man.
Yeah, exactly. So we helping, you know, we helping each other, and, you know, he's like, basically, you know, one hand washes the other. That's what this group is all about. We all
Well,
helping each other.
Shay, do you want to add to that?
No, Ralph pretty much summed it up.
All right, good. So in terms of issues, we had some questions come in, and I think Shine started off great talking about housing. So let's stay with housing for a minute. What kind of housing barriers do you hear people discussing during the group?
It's hard to find help.
Yeah. The vouchers, they need information on that. They're having trouble finding information on it. That's a major issue. The information, and then a lot of us don't know how to go about signing up and taking the steps to get to it. So we need like an advocate to help us take those steps to get to the housing or the waiting list or whatever we have to do, because we got to understand this is most of our first time being disabled and going through this process of these different things of life. So we need help with that, and it's hard to get it. So that's the trouble a lot of people I see is having.
Okay.
Yeah, the education, you know, to housing. I did 5 years, and I didn't say the whole introduction to me, but I did 5 years in a nursing home. So I got shot at the age of 17 and stayed in a nursing home to the age of 22. So it was because I couldn't find a house, and then also because, you know, I didn't want to come home. I thought I would get better at a time, and, like, you know, but, you know, then reality kicked in and said I can do the same stuff that I'm doing in a nursing home at my own place. But it was a little struggle to find a place, and every time I found a place, the nursing home would deny the place. Oh no, this is not good. It's not suitable for you. Well, this has carpet. The doors ain't wide enough. You know, they just kept shutting it down. So but luckily I'm home now, you know. I've been home going on 9 years. This October will make 9 years. And but yeah, housing is definitely hard to find, you know. People are stuck in the nursing homes, or they just can't find, or they stay with a friend and they're probably sleeping on the couch, and that's not even suitable for them. It's just very hard, you know. When you're in this state, you need your own place, and you need a place that you're gonna be comfortable in, not house couch sitting on a couch because I mean, if a lot of people know, if you have spinal cord injury, a couch and stuff like that is not good for your body. You know, you can get bed sores and breakdowns, and that's not good. You'll end up right back in the hospital or nursing home.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was a learning experience for me to find how many people were like in homeless shelters, or as Ralph is describing, sort of the couch to couch living with family members, or in a room in a house that's up a flight of stairs where somebody carries them in one time and they really never leave. The another question that came up was about personal care. How do you get your personal care needs met?
At first,
So, well, go
my
ahead, Shay.
family. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Go ahead, Shay. Shay gets
Yeah,
first.
no, you say, yeah,
At
you
first,
go first.
my family was doing everything. Thank God for my siblings, because without them, I probably would have been in a nursing home longer. But at first, I couldn't do nothing for myself. My sister and my little brother did literally everything. But now I do it by myself. But yeah, family did my personal care first.
Thank you. Ralph?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, I'm, and being quadriplegic and then being in a state of New York, I believe like New York really like the care, they make sure that, you get your care. I mean, I hear stories in other states that they don't really provide that many hours, or it's really hard to find, healthcare, especially like a PCA or a nurse. So I'm a quadriplegic on a ventilator, so 24-hour care. With nursing LPNs and RNs, but I hear the story where people can't find nursing, and people can't find aides to come to the house, or they come and then they may leave because they're not they just can't handle the load of work, or they just don't want to even do it. So it's very scarce, the amount. I mean, the people are out there just either Medicaid doesn't want to pay for it, or Medicare, or whatever you have, and it's very tough, especially in the state. If you're like in the woods, you're definitely not gonna find somebody. So like me living close to New York City is beneficial to me, but like people that's in all these other states, or whatever town or wherever they're at, it can be very rough.
In the woods, we actually train the deer to do personal care, Ralph. Shine, what do you want to add?
My personal care, when I came home, I didn't know how to do none of that. So I came home to one of my girlfriends. She was doing, one of my ex-girlfriends. She was helping me do that for a minute. Then I went to another one of my ex-girlfriends. She was helping me do it for a minute. Then I came to Georgia to mom. Then mom was helping me do it for a minute. And then that's when I got on the Zoom meeting with you guys, and Ralph and Shay showed me the way of how to do the ICs and all that. And I took off from there. So I do it on my own now.
Okay, thank you. Couple questions come up about discrimination. Have you guys faced discrimination because of how you got hurt? Your experiences from other folks on the group?
Yeah, like for me, when I first got hurt, I remember I was going back and forth to the hospital for getting UTIs and pneumonias. And I'm not thinking about how, I can't use the call bell, me being a quad, I can't use my finger, so I have to scream for nurse. And I'm not thinking like I have to be mindful. I'm not, I can't be coughing every 5 seconds, but I was doing that because I didn't know any better. I'm just getting hurt. I'm only maybe 2 months in, 3 months in. So I'm calling and calling, and this one nurse says to me, I keep calling. I'm like, oh, I need help. And, I said, I'm sorry, but she's like, are you really sorry? I'm like, yeah, are you just saying that because you like this? What happened to you? Were you in a gang? And I felt so heartbroken because this lady, I'm like, why? You know me from somewhere? I'm like, I'm not in no gang. Somebody shot me, telling the story, and she didn't believe my story. I'm like, well, it's not for you. I just didn't even want to be in the hospital. They discharged me right now, get me out of here. I just felt so heartbroken and shocked that someone would say that to me. So that's why for 11 years into my injury, I never told nobody I was shot. I would say, oh, car accident, because I technically wasn't lying because I was in a car, but it was like I never told the whole truth of what happened. And like it's because of that one person. And then when I would go in groups, it wouldn't be other people that was like shot. It were all people that was like car accident, diving accident, or they were born like that. So me being that one person in the group, I'm like, oh, gunshot, and they're like, whoa, what happened to him? Especially being a black man, it's like very people stereotype, and but like I said, it's no more for me to hide anymore because I mean I didn't do this to myself. And even if you're in a gang or whatever, you still have, you should be forgiven for your actions. We were all, childish or whatever. We weren't, so everybody deserves a second chance. So people shouldn't judge people for what their past was and what led them to this, wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also not that nurse's business.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying too, Ralph. I think like that's an important point for me that both our group and any of our services in Rochester, it doesn't matter how you got paralyzed, like you're paralyzed, you're now part of this family, and we're all here to try to help one another do the best we can. Shine and Shay, did you have any circumstances of discrimination that you want to share or talk about?
Nah, not that I know of.
Okay. So what would you all want society and our country to do better? What would help make this easier?
Resources.
Yeah, definitely resources.
Housing.
Yep, housing. Instead of giving all that money to all these other people in these other countries, they need to focus on the people in America with all these disabilities first. That'll help us out a lot.
Yeah, like instead of building a bunch of nursing homes, which are good, they should have something like buildings or subsidized for the people that has to be in a wheelchair, because sometimes when they do the background history and then they see, some people may have a criminal history that got shot. Some people, so it's like, whoa, we don't want this person to live here, and it's like people should, and that stops him too. So that, and then even though I got, go ahead, Sean.
They're doing background checks and criminal checks and all that for us to get housing and all that. So what if you was in you've been to prison before and all that, and it's going to be harder for you to get a housing, or you're not going to be able to get it? Like that kind of stuff. Like that's this kind of stuff I think about, because people's lives change, and especially after you get shot. Like if you're willing to change it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the government definitely can, pour a bunch of money into resources, and we have education like Christopher Reeve. I mean, the Reeve Foundation. People don't. I mean, this is like the biggest thing. When I heard, the first thing they mentioned, is Christopher Reeve was in the wheelchair. So you start googling and searching. Okay, Christopher Reeve, and then you see they have a foundation, and you get educational purposes through the foundation, but not a lot of other, foundations that are out there to teach, especially, if you don't really know, and unless you bump into somebody and, they're able to teach you and tell you what's out there, but it's it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. So these groups
Ralph,
that especially, yeah.
Ralph, I think every state should have like a few buildings that's all the way wheelchair accessible just for people who's in a wheelchair. Whole buildings is made like that.
Exactly.
A
Those
couple
are
of
dreams of mine.
so they won't have like no waiting lists and all that extra stuff that what I mean. They better get straight into them. Not straight into them. It's going to be a little check, but easier.
Yeah, that's definitely a dream of mine. I think about that all the time.
For any government officials or anybody on the webinar with us that is part of any significant funder, Ralph and Shine have an investment opportunity for you.
Yeah, come for us and test.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I know the government, they always talk about these gun laws, and I like even though I got shot, I'm not against guns, you know what I mean? But I wish, the people would be way more careful on what they're doing with these guns, or try to because
responsible.
It's and the people are not, especially people just shooting recklessly or whatever. It just I mean, if they're gonna have guns, maybe you have to go to the range and learn how to shoot properly, because me being shot, me being sitting in my car is like ridiculous. I was minding my business, about to go get some food. So it's like, the gun laws, they gun laws, but are they really helping? It's like, I think they need to do something more. I don't know exactly what they can do, but something has to happen.
Well, all I'm saying is I got shot by someone who was a very good shot, and trust me, that's you don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, we have already, there's too many guns in here already, so we can't just say, oh, everybody bring your guns in. No one's gonna do that, especially, they're not gonna turn their guns in. They're like, oh yeah, turn it in, but it's something. I don't know what they can do, but I wish something can happen. Some mental health classes or something, I don't know, but that still doesn't even help too sometimes. So.
Nah, they gonna need something deeper than that, man.
Or the penalization for the cause of using the gun. Okay, make the bullets higher, $1 million a bullet or something, so they can't pay for the bullets or something. I don't know, but it's reckless. But we shouldn't be in these states. But I think me being this is not like for some weak people. This is like, I mean, if you're weak, you're weak, and I don't even want to call you weak, but we're like, I'm glad I'm strong enough to do this, and I'm like somebody was saying earlier, the mail, I wouldn't take it back, I don't even think about walking sometimes. Like most of the time, I don't think, I wish I could walk again. I'm glad that I'm able to help people. That's what I'm living for now, to help people.
And I think that's consistent that, we often kind of joke that like walking's not the big deal at all, that if you had housing, if you had personal care, if you had good transportation and a job, then the whole physical aspect of this tends to be not such a big deal.
That's what I was just telling somebody the other day, man. Being paralyzed is 90% mental, 10% physical. I accept it. I can't use my legs and stuff no more. It's this that you got to deal with every day, all day, to struggle. Like, you know what I mean? You got to be strong to deal with that.
I think there was a question in the chat about contact info. So I think there would be some interest, Ralph, Shine, and Shay, for people to be able to reach out to you. So if after we are done talking, you can put if you're comfortable sharing your contact info in the chat, do that. Myself and RSA, RochesterSpinalAssociation.org, it's very easy to find. Happy to talk about anything that we're doing in Rochester and collaborate. I'm excited to hear what Access Living is doing, and I think there's a lot of chance to collaborate between different cities and the folks in North Carolina and everywhere else. So I think with that, I'm supposed to pass it back, but thank you, Ralph, Shine, Shay. Pleasure as always.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
you so much for your time, for sharing your stories and your honesty and your really practical advice and tips that the Reeve Foundation is also listening. So we're prioritizing housing issues, PCAs, caregiving, and all the issues that you raised. So thank you very much. I want to, a couple things. So I'm hoping my colleague can pull up the call to action slide. I believe we were going to share some of the results of the poll. And then I also want to acknowledge, I want to acknowledge everyone. This certainly was not enough time. We will try our best to follow up with questions we weren't able to answer. But I really want to offer special thanks to the White House, to Mr. Gregory Jackson, and also to Anna, who's on and who stayed on the entire time. I'd like to give her a few minutes to address some of the things she's heard throughout these past 2 hours. Anna?
Thank you so much, Kim, and really thank you, to the Reeve Foundation for organizing such a comprehensive panel. I'm hoping that you are all able to hear me, but I have been listening and taking extensive notes. And to all of you who have expressed the needs for greater flexibility, for more inclusion, for SCI advocates to receive some of that federal support and consideration, following this webinar, I'll connect with Greg and other colleagues across the White House, as well as relevant agencies, to discuss some of the things that you all proposed today. I really also just wanted to note that, many of the themes that you talked about the desire to live in the community, to be connected with your loved ones, to find a purpose, and to take the challenges that you have experienced and turn it into your purpose, and counseling other people who have been through gun violence is just incredibly inspiring. This administration is committed to the full participation and inclusion for people with disabilities. I know we're kind of short on time, but I just wanted to mention, President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law invests 1.75 billion to repair and improve accessibility and transit stations across America. So I know some of you, whether you're from Philly, from other states, this money is going all around the country to upgrade those public transit stations so that, you can get to your appointments, you can get to your job, you can go socialize with your friends. Other things to note, in the bipartisan infrastructure law, 700 million is going to all station accessibility to retrofit old rail and subway stations, adding elevators, other improvements. Just last week, we announced another $343 million to modernize transit stations in 8 different areas, including rural areas. Lastly, I wanted to mention, the Department of Transportation has a disability policy priorities like platform, and it's, led by a disabled person who, Kelly Buckland, who used to lead the National Council on Independent Living. But through that, informing that work is our other disabled advocates, including our wonderful partners at the Reeve Foundation. So DOT has been laying the groundwork for policies that actually, address, allowing people who use wheelchairs to remain in their seats during flights. Or, most recently, earlier this year, Department of Transportation announced rulemaking that would require better training for airline staff who physically assist passengers with disabilities or handle battery-powered wheelchairs or scooters. Some of the things that you all have expressed is how do we get involved? So the Administration for Community Living supports an accessible transportation resource center. You can learn more by visiting acl.gov/transportation center. And you can actually join the network. So all of you with your lived experiences, whether you're a caregiver, you're a survivor, your input does matter. If you would like to join, all you have to do is email atrc@acl.hhs.gov. And I'll be sure to email this information to Kim to send to everyone. One of the other themes that you all mentioned is just the incredible challenges of accessing home care, and that the burden of that care then falls on 53 million Americans who are family caregivers. This is something that the president has talked about being a family caregiver himself. The vice president has talked about that experience. So the president's American Rescue Plan invests $37 billion in support across all 50 states for activities and investments that enhance, expand, and strengthen home and community-based services programs. So we have data that's showing in all 50 states, currently 25 billion is already being used to help retain, expand, and train the direct care workforce. And last April, the president signed an executive order to increase access to high quality care and supporting caregivers. And I just mentioned this because a number of speakers have talked about the quality of that care that you get, when you're dealing with potentially providers who are discriminatory or just not great quality care. So as a part of that executive order this year, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services finalized the Ensuring Access to Medicaid Services rule. So that rule will ensure that adequate compensation for home care workers requires at least 80% of the Medicaid payments for home care services to actually go to the workers. And we're hoping that that kind of helps address some of the turnover that all of you have struggled to deal with. This rule also allows states to take into account the experiences that small providers have, providers in rural areas have. They're addressing things like training. And so there's going to be, for all of you, the opportunity to provide input. So states will have to create a home care rate setting advisory group made of beneficiaries, home care workers, and other key stakeholders to advise and consult on provider payment rates and direct compensation for direct care workers. So all of you, I know, you are probably the pros at dealing with hiring, retaining, training. your states are going to have to create these advisory groups. So I just wanted to mention that as another avenue where you can provide input and continue to advocate. Lastly, housing, something that has come up. So if you are having issues needing housing assistance or looking for services, you can visit acl.gov/housing and services. So this is a collaborative with HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Department of Housing and Urban Development. If you visit that website, and again, I'll share this with Kim and with the Reeve team, you can actually access, whether you need counseling, if you have questions, if you think you may be facing discrimination, all of those federally funded resources are there. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kim, but I just wanted to, express my sincere gratitude to everyone who shared their stories today. For folks who have stayed on, we are here to continue to listen and to serve. So please consider this as a dialogue, ongoing learnings, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Anna. We really appreciate that. And we have the results of the poll. Thank you very, very much. We are going to continue to elevate the voices of those impacted by gun violence. This is a priority for the Reeve Foundation. We know we shared a lot of information today, so we're going to do our best to summarize some of the most important information with the recording, as well as provide ways for you to connect with each other and to us. Again, I want to thank each of our speakers for your stories, your time, and all of your important information that you shared with all of us today. So thank you everyone for sticking with us. We had some tech issues, so I appreciate your patience, and we're so grateful you joined us. So thank you very much.